Guys, welcome to the First Responder Playbook. I've got Sergeant V with DXI Training Solutions with me again. We do these pretty much bi-weekly, but we talk about different topics each week. And this week we're going to talk about knives. David, tell me what's important about a good knife.
Well, the first thing is understanding why you're carrying it, right? Is this a backup, maybe a less lethal, or is this just a general utility tool that you're carrying on your belt so that you can, use it like a pocket knife? What's the ultimate goal? Why are you carrying it?
Can you kind of differentiate between those two? What makes those different?
Well, each one's going to have a different knife that you're going to be looking for, right? If you're carrying it as a less lethal option, should somebody be going for your weapon and you want a quick option to be able to draw, it has the potential to be lethal, but you can also use it as a less lethal, right? So a good fixed blade would probably be your preference as opposed to a folding knife, right? And I'm no expert when it comes to knives, but you got to understand why you're carrying it, right? I never carried one as uh, a backup to my firearm or as a less lethal, right? It was just a general tool for me. That's why I carried the pocket knife.
What what are your thoughts on where you carry your knife?
Again, that's relevant to what's the purpose behind it, right? If you're carrying it as a secondary tool to deploy as less lethal, you're going to want something quick access. That fixed blade, there's all kinds of good options out there with sheaths that blend in with your belt, but they're not obvious. You can hide them behind your magazines, or you can tuck them inside the Velcro pouches of your uniform top. There's all kinds of good options for those, but whatever it is, it needs to be a single hand draw, and it should probably be a weak side draw. That way, your strong hand's able to help protect your gun while you're drawing your knife.
What are some things that officers need to take into consideration? Like you said, a single hand draw knife. Um, what are some considerations they need to take in? I know you said depending on how they're going to use that knife of where they carry it, but like, do you have any thoughts on like fixed blades versus uh, you know, projectile opening, different style types of knives?
Well, the number one thing they got to pay attention to is their policy, right? What's your department policy on it? If your policy says that you can only carry one as a general pocket knife, then you got to stick to that, right? But if your policy says that you can carry it as a less lethal option, then I would definitely go with that fixed blade option because it's going to be the quickest and easiest to use. You don't have to worry about finding the small little button to hit or, swing it open to get that centrifugal motion. It's just going to be there. It's going to be ready when you are. Sorry about that.
Happens to the best of us. Um, as a new officer, it's just like your firearm. If you're going to carry something like that, you probably need to be proficient and be able to get it out and get it to it quickly. Um, what are some ways you think would be safe that an officer can train on that safely to be able to access their knife?
Yeah, I used to teach all my young officers when they came through that you needed to practice regularly with drawing and deploying your tools, right? So just like with a firearm, you make sure it's safe, it's unloaded, it's clear, and you do some practice reps on drawing your firearm. But you don't get in the habit of putting it back in the holster too quick. Make sure you're scanning your environment, doing a good threat assessment, being safe and slow and deliberate back to the holster because you never know when the threat's going to come back up. And likewise, you got to practice transitioning between those tools, right? So if I did maybe draw my taser and all of a sudden, nope, things are escalating too quickly, how do I transition to a lethal option, right? So making sure you're doing those as safely as possible. And for a pocket knife, that's not that difficult, right? You just make sure that there's nobody within arm's reach and you're practicing in as safe as possible way that you can.
Yeah, I think it's a very important distinction that you made is, your tasers are going to be your less lethal option. But your knife is a lethal option. It's just not a firearm. And so, when you deploy that thing, it is a lethal option and you need to be prepared to use it and know how to use it.
Yeah, absolutely. Make sure you understand where your use of force falls on that, and your training too. You need to be trained on those. If you're going to be using it as a defensive weapon, you should be finding an actual school, going to a professional, and getting some good quality training to deploy it in that means. Like I said, my preference was just to carry the pocket knife as an everyday tool. I used the pocket knife countless times on patrol to do everything from taking license plates off of vehicles to cutting ropes, seat belts, you name it.
Yeah, and, I mean, knives these days, I mean, you see some that's got glass breakers on them, the seatbelt cutting tools on them. It really comes down to personal preference of what you want,
Mhm.
and like you said, what you're gonna be using it for. Um, I would, again, kinda like you said, follow your agency policy, um, and then follow your preference after that of what you're comfortable with and what you're trained to use. So, guys, again, if there's anything you guys want to see us talk about, please let us know. He's at DXI Training Solutions, Facebook, YouTube. He's got some good, cooking videos on there to be able to help you stay in shape. And then follow me, the First Responder Playbook on Facebook, YouTube, pretty much anywhere you can stream it. We're open to suggestions for you guys, and we're here to make you guys better. So we will see you guys in 2 weeks. Uh, Sergeant V, last word's yours.
I hope you guys stay safe out there.